Machiavelli said, "People lose, not because of weakness, but because they are ignorant of the forces that govern them." The same is true with money. What I'm about to explain has nothing to do with luck, motivation, or working harder. It's about laws. Financial laws that are already shaping your outcomes, whether you acknowledge them or not. If 2026 is going to be the best year of your finances, it won't be because you hoped differently. It will be because you finally aligned with how money actually moves. Machiavelli warned that men fail, not from lack of effort, but from ignorance of the forces governing them. Money is no different. There are three laws, quietly deciding your financial fate. Right now you are already living under them. The only question is whether they're working for you or against you. The first is inertia in physics. An object at rest stays at rest, unless acted upon by an external force. In finance, this means money does not grow on its own. Income does not improve because you waited another year. Debt does not disappear because you avoided looking at it. If your finances in 2025 looked almost identical to 2024 then, that wasn't bad luck, that was inertia. No new force entered the system. Most people are financial objects at rest. Same income source, same spending patterns, same financial conversations, same habits, and they call this being stable. Machiavelli would call it dangerous. Stability without force is just stagnation that hasn't collapsed yet. If no force acts on your money, entropy will. Here's the part that changes everything. You can either be the object at rest, or you can become the outside force. If your income is capped, you don't wait for permission. You become the force that increases it. If your savings are weak, you don't complain about the economy. You become the force that restructures cash flow. The moment you realize you can act on money, instead of reacting to it, you stop being governed by circumstance. The second law is energy. Energy is never created or destroyed. It only changes form. Your life energy, your time, your focus, your stress, your youth, they are being converted into financial outcomes. Every single day, you want to know what you've turned your energy into. So far, look at your bank account, your lifestyle, your obligations. Those are not accidents, those are conversions. Machiavelli understood this deeply. He observed that men spend their strength building the very cages they later complain about. If your energy goes into consumption, you get dependency. If it goes into leverage, you get freedom. Energy without intention doesn't disappear. It just turns into something you didn't consciously choose. This is where intention becomes non-negotiable. Financial intention is not wishing to be rich. It's deciding in advance what your energy will become. Without intention, your money habits default to convenience, comfort, and short-term relief. With intention, energy compounds. The same hours produce radically different outcomes, depending on where they're aimed. The third law is entropy. This one is ruthless. Anything left alone moves toward disorder. You do not need to decide to become poorer. You don't need to intend financial decline. All you have to do is nothing. Inflation, lifestyle creep, rising costs, skill decay. They handle the rest. Machiavelli warned that decay enters quietly, then dominates openly. Financial decay works the same way. This is why the most dangerous financial belief is, I'm not doing great, but I'm not doing terrible either. That's entropy talking. There is no neutral with money. Every year you either apply force and intention, or you pay the tax of neglect. Now we need to clarify responsibility. There are contributing factors in finance, and there are determining factors. Markets fluctuate, economies cycle. Policies change, those are contributing factors. They affect you, but they do not define you. Determining factors are internal. Your decisions, your discipline, your willingness to build leverage. Strong principles overpower weak conditions. Machiavelli said fortune favors the prepared, not because fortune is kind, but because preparation reduces dependence. When people confuse contributing factors with determining factors, they feel powerless. They blame timing, employers, governments, or bad breaks. The moment you reclaim determining power, your financial psychology shifts. You stop asking why money isn't working and start asking how you're directing it. Here is the belief that makes 2026 different. For your finances to get better, it requires high energy and deliberate financial intention. High energy, deliberate intention. For your finances to get worse, It requires neither, it only requires neglect. If you are not getting richer by design, you are getting poorer by default. That is not harsh, that is honest. Let this sink in. If nothing changes in how you apply force to money, 2026 will look like every other year. Different numbers, same structure. Same ceiling, but once you understand these laws, repetition becomes impossible. Before we move forward, pause and be honest with yourself. Which law has been running your finances so far? Drop a comment with 1 or 2 words that describe your current financial state. Something simple like inertia or intentional. That reflection locks awareness into place. And if you're serious about making 2026 the strongest financial year of your life, subscribe and join a growing community of men who are done letting money drift and are learning to command it with principle, discipline, and strategy. In the next part, we're going to dismantle the biggest financial illusion. Most people live under the belief that standing still with money is even possible. Once you understand the laws, why standing still with money is a financial illusion, the next illusion collapses fast. The illusion is this idea that you can just hold steady financially, that you're not getting richer, but you're not getting poorer either, that you're just waiting for the right time, waiting for clarity, waiting for things to settle down. Machiavelli would tell you this is how men lose power. Without realizing it, standing still is not a position. It's a slow retreat. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Every single day, your finances move in one of 2 directions. You are either getting richer by design or poorer by default. There is no financial neutral. Even if your income stays the same, inflation is eroding purchasing power. Even if your expenses don't spike, opportunity cost is draining future leverage. Even if nothing dramatic happens, entropy is still working quietly in the background. People say they just want to be comfortable, but comfort is not stability. Comfort is inertia with a nicer story. It's an object at rest, pretending it's safe because nothing is shaking it. Yet Machiavelli warned that men who seek comfort over strength eventually lose both. Money follows the same rule. If you are not intentionally applying force to your finances, then external forces will apply it for you. Your employer decides your ceiling. Your bills decide your priorities. Your environment decides your spending habits. And over time you wake up realizing you didn't choose your financial life. You drifted into it. Now, let's define something clearly. Getting richer today does not mean you sold something today. That's a shallow definition. Getting richer today means you increased future earning capacity. It means you applied energy in a way that creates leverage. If you didn't make money today, you built something that can. If you didn't build, you learned something that increases your value. If you didn't learn, you positioned yourself closer to opportunity. If none of that happened, then that day cost you ground. Machiavelli believed power must be renewed constantly. Wealth is no different. If your financial engine only runs when you personally push it, you don't own leverage. You own a treadmill. Leverage means your effort echoes beyond the moment. Cash flow that continues without repeating. The same labor systems that outlive the initial push. Assets that work while you don't. This is where most people misjudge time. They think they don't have enough of it. But time is not the constraint. Structure is 2 people can have the same 24 hours and radically different financial outcomes, because one converts time into leverage and the other converts it into relief. One builds, the other copes. Lifestyle is where this difference becomes visible. Lifestyle is not luxury. Lifestyle is optionality. It's the ability to decide based on values instead of desperation. When income is sporadic, money becomes a master. It tells you what you can't do, where you can't go, who you must tolerate. When income is recurring and predictable, money becomes a tool. It does what you tell it to do. This is why one-time wins don't change lives. They excite the nervous system, but don't rewire it. Predictable cash flow does. Machiavelli understood that dependence creates obedience. When your survival depends on unpredictable income, fear sneaks into every decision. When your cash flow is structured, fear loses leverage. Then there's the long game. Legacy thinking. This is where most people opt out, because it requires delayed gratification. Legacy is not about hoarding. It's about continuity. It's about refusing to let every generation restart at zero. Wealth without structure dissolves wealth with rules. education, and intent compounds. Here's the synthesis. If you are not intentionally getting richer today, you are unintentionally getting poorer today. Not morally, mathematically, psychologically. Structurally, the longer you delay force, the more force you'll need later, just to get back to neutral. This is why 2026 cannot be a passive year. It must be designed. You either decide where money is going to move, or money will decide where you end up. Pause for a moment and reflect honestly. Over the last year, were you building leverage? Or were you maintaining comfort? Drop a short comment with 1 or 2 words that describe your current financial direction. Something like building or drifting. That acknowledgement matters more than motivation. In the next part, we're going to look at the financial multipliers. Most people ignore until it's too late. People in focus and why. No amount of effort can compensate for isolation and a dull mind. Up to this point, everything we've talked about, the hidden financial multipliers, people in focus, lives in systems and structure. But money does not move in a vacuum. It moves through people. This is where a lot of financially capable men stall, without realizing why. They have work ethic. They have ideas, they even have discipline. But their financial world is isolated. Machiavelli warned that power built alone is fragile. Wealth follows the same rule. You can have skill and still stay broke. If your relational environment is thin, every opportunity, every deal, every piece of information that actually matters travels through human networks. Capital flows toward trust, proximity, and perceived value. Isolation cuts you off from all three. Some people say they don't like dealing with people. That's irrelevant. You don't have to like fire to use it. Your income, your safety, your access to markets, even your ability to transact digitally, all depend on systems run by people you will never meet. If you remove people, money stops moving. Machiavelli understood this when he said, alliances are not optional for survival. Only their quality is. This is why relationships are financial multipliers. Long-term relationships are stored leverage. They take time to build, and almost no effort to maintain. Once trust exists, they are proof of reliability. Men with no long-term relationships are expensive to trust, and expensive people get fewer opportunities. There is a reason ancient elites guarded alliances more carefully than gold. Then there are developing relationships. These are the bridges between where you are and where you want to go. Most men approach these backwards. They ask what they can extract. That immediately lowers their value. The correct question is, how can I be useful here? Value precedes access. Machiavelli wrote that loyalty is purchased through advantage, not promises. When people see that, association with you improves their position. Doors open naturally. New relationships matter too. Not because you need more friends, but because you need new reference points. Financial ceilings are often environmental, not personal. If everyone around you thinks a certain income is unrealistic, your nervous system treats it as dangerous. New environments recalibrate what feels normal. This is how invisible limits are broken. Now let's pair this with focus. Because without focus, relationships don't convert into wealth. Focus determines what you extract from every interaction in every hour. If you are not intentionally learning, your earning power is decaying. This is an opinion, it's entropy applied to skill. Many people think learning stops once school ends. In reality, learning is the only defense against financial obsolescence. Markets reward relevance, not effort. If you are not discovering principles that govern money, negotiation systems, and leverage, you are relying on outdated tools in a changing environment. Machiavelli studied history obsessively for this reason. He knew old laws still ruled new circumstances. Discovery alone isn't enough. You must develop skills. That means repetition, friction, and discomfort. Reading about leverage does not create leverage. Applying it does. Every skill you don't practice weakens. Every skill you apply compounds. This is why two people can know the same information and have completely different financial lives. Then comes deployment. Knowledge that isn't used becomes psychological weight. It creates guilt instead of power. Every day you face the same decision. Do I apply what I know, or do I choose comfort again? Comfort always feels cheaper in the moment, but it compounds into expensive regret. Here's the uncomfortable synthesis. You cannot outwork isolation. You cannot out-earn a dull mind. And you cannot compensate for lack of focus with hustle. Financial growth accelerates when people, learning, and action align. When they don't, effort leaks. So ask yourself honestly over the last year. Has your financial world expanded through people and learning? Or has it contracted into routine and familiarity? Drop a comment with 1 or 2 words that describe where you are right now. Something simple like expanding or stagnant. That reflection matters, because clarity precedes correction. In the final part, we're going to address the deepest governors of financial success, the body, the family structure, and the belief system that quietly determines whether you sustain wealth or sabotage it after you build it. The final governors of financial power. This is where everything either stabilizes or collapses. You can understand money, you can build leverage, you can have relationships and skills, and still sabotage your financial future if these final governors are ignored. Machiavelli was clear on this point. A man who cannot govern himself will eventually lose whatever power he acquires. Wealth is no exception. The first governor is family order. Financial leaks rarely come from markets. They come from chaos at home. When priorities are unclear, money bleeds quietly. If you want financial momentum to hold, your household must have structure. Your spouse comes first before children, before parents, before extended family. Disorder here creates emotional debt. And emotional debt always shows up as financial pressure later every day. Your family system is either becoming more aligned or more fragmented. There is no neutral. Neglect introduces entropy. Arguments cost focus, tension erodes decision-making. Confusion invites avoidance. Strong financial years are built on calm, ordered homes, not constant emotional firefighting. This isn't romantic, it's strategic. The second governor is the body. Most people underestimate how directly physical energy determines financial performance. Low energy produces short-term thinking. Poor health lowers risk tolerance. Fatigue leads to bad deals and missed opportunities. Your body is not separate from your bank account. It is the engine behind every financial decision you make. Here's the law every day. You are either getting stronger by decision or weaker by default. You don't need to choose weakness. You just need to avoid strength. Nutrition, movement, and rest are not lifestyle preferences. They are financial infrastructure. If you consume more artificial input than natural fuel, you reduce cognitive clarity. If you don't move your body, stress accumulates and discipline erodes. If you don't recover, your judgment degrades. Machiavelli respected disciplined hardship because it produced resilient men. Short-term, intentional discomfort builds long-term capacity. Avoiding discomfort today installs chronic pain tomorrow. The same principle applies to money. Discipline compounds neglect, invoices you later with interest. Understand this clearly. There are 2 types of pain: short-term intentional, structured pain, and long-term, unintentional systemic pain. If you refuse the first, the second is guaranteed. This is as true in fitness as it is in finance. The final governor is belief. Your worldview quietly dictates your ceiling. How you see money determines how you interact with it. If you believe money is scarce, you hoard or panic. If you believe money is dangerous, you sabotage. If you believe money is a tool, you deploy it strategically. Machiavelli studied belief because he knew men act according to what they accept as true, not what they claim to want. Belief governs decisions. Decisions become habits. Habits shape outcomes. This is why belief alignment matters. Reflection, discipline, principle, faith. Call it what you want. These are recalibration tools. They realign your internal compass, so your external actions stop contradicting each other. If you are not intentionally strengthening your belief system, it weakens by default. Convenience replaces principle. Fear replaces clarity, and eventually, money becomes a source of stress instead of control. Directionless men are easily ruled. Aligned men are not. Now zoom out and let the full law land. Because this is where most men lie to themselves. Your finances will not magically turn around in 2026. Time does not reward hope. Time only exposes structure. If nothing changes in how you apply energy, discipline, and intention to money, then 2026 will not be a breakthrough year. It will simply be another year closer to the ceiling. You never challenged. Here is the ruthless truth. Every year you delay design, Life designs for you, bills decide your moves. Fear decides your risk tolerance. Other people's priorities decide your schedule. And one day, you wake up realizing you didn't fail dramatically. You just slowly surrendered control. Machiavelli warned that men lose power, not all at once, but by tolerating small weaknesses every day. Financial weakness works the same way. If you do not decide to get stronger financially, you are deciding to get weaker, not emotionally, structurally. Mathematically, if you are not getting richer by design, you're getting poorer by default. That is not motivation, that is law. And laws do not care whether you agree with them. So understand what 2026 really represents. It is not a fresh start, it is a deadline. A line in the sand, where you either become the man who directs money, or you remain the man money pushes around. There is no third identity. There is no comfortable middle. Either you build leverage, discipline, and control, or you keep paying the invisible tax of drift. Now make it concrete. In the comments, write 1 or 2 words that define how you are moving into 2026. Something simple but final. By design. No more drift. Write it not for the algorithm, but because commitment spoken is harder to betray than commitment hidden. And if you're serious about transforming 2026 into the strongest financial year of your life, subscribe and join a growing community of men who are done with excuses, done with entropy, and done letting time erode their potential. This is an inspiration, this is alignment. This is control. And hey, race the final truth most men never confront. Your bank account is not a money problem. It is a mirror of your identity. You don't earn what you want. You earn what you believe you deserve. You keep what you are disciplined enough to protect. You multiply what you are structured enough to manage. This is why sudden money destroys weak identities and builds empires for strong ones. Wealth doesn't change people. It reveals them. Give money to a man without structure, and he buys distractions. Give money to a man with vision, and he builds systems. 2026 will not test your luck. It will test your character, your patience, your ability to delay pleasure, your courage to be different from everyone around you. Because the hardest part of building wealth is not the work. It's becoming the man who can handle it. And that's the real game. Not money, not status, not freedom, identity. Control that, and money follows.